All right, guys. So today we're going to go over a little bit of armbar and triangle defenses, a little bit of review of what we went over when it comes to being in a good position. That'll help that. And then if we get caught in it, how to get out. And then if we get time, we'll probably do a little bit of north-south and then see where it goes from there. So let's start with getting an armbar and getting a triangle so we know what signals they're giving that they want to do an armbar or a triangle. That's going to be a trigger for us to make sure we're doing the right thing to defend and shutting it down ahead of time. So if I'm in, let's say, guard, it's a good position to work these just because of the mobility and movement we need to do. We need to break their posture. We need to get one of these up, and this is for the arm bar. So I want to get one of these arms and get it past my center line. So first thing I'll usually do is get the sleeves, right? Or the wrist control if it's a no-gi. I'm going to get the sleeve, and one of the arms I'm going to stay tight to my rib. I'm going to come under her other arm, and I'm reaching for that tricep, but I'm actually using my knees, bringing my knees to my chest to bring her close to me as I pull this towards my opposite shoulder, reaching under the arm again at the same time for that tricep. So I'm bringing her to me using both of my legs, my arm, and this arm eventually is grasping on as well. The reason we go under the arm is because if I just reach for the arm, she could push my arm off easily with the other, right? So if I go under and I keep my elbow tight to my rib, now when she tries to push my arm away, it's a lot more difficult, okay? So that's the first step. So we bring the arm to us, and now the next movement, she's going to be kind of going back to where she started. She's trying to get her position back. I'm gonna step on the hip, and I also will pull the wrist and the elbow opposite ways. Okay, that's gonna add a little bit of twist, so that way when she goes to pull her elbow out, she actually has to pull it towards her belly as opposed to out that way, right? If I twist it, now she's pulling it towards her own belly. It's gonna be a lot harder to bring out. This knee, the foot stepping on the hip, the knee is squeezing behind the shoulder, taking away the space, okay? The next step I have, my opposite leg, I'm hitting, and this is a key component that a lot of people get wrong. The back of my knee hitting towards the armpit. So actually my foot, my heel is going towards her shoulder. Somebody's mic is on. Let's mute the mic just because it's getting feedback. Might be one, two. Yep, okay. All right, so we're there. So we got the arm. I stepped on the hip, squeezing the knee just behind the shoulder. I don't want to be up here. That's not helping. I want to be behind the shoulder. That's where the arm starts, right? And now this foot is hitting towards this shoulder. So through her armpit towards this shoulder as I rotate my head that way. When I do that, my back needs to be flat on the mat, okay? If I'm at an angle, then I'm creating space under the shoulder, which is gonna allow her to pull her elbow out. My hips, my groin area should be right under her armpit, okay? Now I'm still squeezing. The next step, if I need to, I can push with my hand, but if not, I just keep securing the arm. This leg stays close to the head. It's gonna kind of mess up their hair as I slide it over the head, okay? And I'm chopping down. I don't like to cross my ankles because if I cross my ankles, I'm letting up on some of that pressure that I could have. And you'll see later on the defenses why that's not a good thing. So I keep this left leg, in this case, with a lot of pressure downward. Same thing with this one, but her back is larger than her head and less movement. So the feet are never really gonna cross here. So I keep that heavy pressure. Both hands can go to the wrist now, and then I hip up. You see I barely had to move. We talked about that the other night where just 5–10% movement and they're already feeling it, then you know you have the submission correct, okay? If I have to hip up 60, 70, 80% and they still haven't tapped yet, I'm doing the move wrong, okay? I should not have to use all my effort or speed. Okay, so start with, on most moves, let's start with the guard close and the wrist control. And then that way, when we make a change, when you're following the instruction of the technique, you only change the thing that they said, everything else is going to fall in line. Okay? So bringing the knees to the chest without opening my guard, sliding under one of the arms, reaching for the opposite as I pull this high towards my head and opposite shoulder, get that grip. Make sure you're keeping your elbow tight to the ribs, step on the hip. Now the pivot, this leg hits the armpit, pivoting. I should see perpendicular into her ear. This leg slides over the head, stays heavy, 2 hands to the wrist, and I hip up. Any questions on that one? All right, let's try it. If you have a partner or a dummy, if you have a dummy. If not, Aiden, just you can maybe take notes, right? Or unless you're good at remembering. I'm the type, I don't take notes, but I pay a lot of attention. I make sure I remember. So if you're a note taker, take notes. And I also muted everybody, so if you need to say anything, you got to unmute yourself. Who's this on the Galaxy?
I think it's Tony.
Tony?
No, it's Ted.
Ted?
Yeah,
What?
I was just thing with him.
Ted.
Is that Ted?
Can y'all
Yes,
hear
yes.
me?
What up? I can hear you
there he
now.
is.
Uh-oh.
If you
Yeah, mute him quick. Mute him quick.
He doesn't want me to see him.
There we go. If you have questions, just ask any, Ted.
Yeah,
It's really
guess-
open format.
the part that I had missed. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Listen here. Oh my gosh. The part I had missed, I never saw, I guess. That level of detail was when that left leg, when you're basically pushing the shoulder with that left knee and closing that gap in there. And that's part of the reason that anytime that I started to get someone in it, they'd be able to slide themselves out quick.
Yeah, they just yank their elbow out.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I do in the move, that's how you know what they're trying to do to you, right? So what's the first thing that I need to do in the armbar? I need to get a hold of that tricep. So as soon as somebody's grabbing a hold of your tricep, you already know they want to do an armbar. And so you have to take the precautions for the armbar, which we're going to go over later. I need a cigar. No cigars on the mat.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind cigar smoke.
As long as it doesn't come out the laptop, we're okay.
It's like the guy that you were showing me. That the guy is like talking to the phone.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
phone's like, I am the one to get COVID.
There was a video of a guy gaming, and one of his teammates sneezed, or I think it was a sneeze, over the mic, and the guy freaked out like he was going to get sick.
Oh.
All right, so armbar. Let's go here. So my hands, I'm keeping behind, just like the other class we did previous. My hands, I'm trying to keep them behind the belt, not past the rib cage for sure. I'm allowed to hold on the belt. I'm holding on to the pants. I have good posture. My knees are wide, right? And now she starts making a movement to go for this tricep. That already tells me she wants the armbar, right? So of course, if I hold real tight, try to get the tricep, and I just don't let her get the tricep, then sure, that's going to prevent the armbar in itself. But that's a lot of fight there. So, you know, we need to try to stop that. Of course, not get in the move. That's the first thing. But sometimes we're distracted by other things. She gets the tricep, and it's too late, right? This is just the first part of the move. I'm not getting armbarred yet. My elbow just made sure that it stayed on that side of her body, and I try to make sure it doesn't cross the rib cage, right? Now, the rest of what I do is not going to depend on that, but that's just one extra thing I can do that I'm protecting myself. Above her rib cage or on the underside of the sternum, now I'm in a lot of trouble, okay? I can still do the rest of the move, but it's lower percentage, right? Than if I stayed square, like my right arm stays on this side, my left arm stays on this side, and I stay behind her rib cage, then I'm safer, right? So wherever that ends up, try to make sure it's in this quadrant over here. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm preparing to stack her. I'm planning ahead. I know she wants the arm bar, so I'm preparing my defenses ahead of time, so I'm not gonna get caught in it unaware and unprepared. I'm gonna shoot my bicep to my hand, like I'm doing a rear naked choke, and I put my palm out on the other side of my ear. So now when she goes for this bar, I'm totally like on my tricep. So that's another thing. If they're not holding your tricep anymore, you pull your arm away. You're out, right? So you need to make sure that you're also, just the guard is open right now, I know I could stand up. You have to be aware at all moments when they're letting up their defenses, right? In guard, she needs to keep the guard closed. On the arm bar, she needs to keep the tricep the whole time until the very end when she goes to hip up. If any of those things happen, you need to take advantage of it. Kind of think of it, not because I'm a coach, but when I roll, I think of everything I do as a teaching moment, right? When they make a mistake on their technique, I take advantage of that. That's how I'm going to progress. That's how I'm going to defend. That's how I'm going to attack. At the same time, I'm pointing out, non-verbally, I'm pointing out a mistake they made, whether they realize it or not, but that's how I roll, right? But I'm more of a counter fighter, and that's why I do that, but it works well for teaching. So be aware when they mess up, take advantage of that mistake, right? So looking again, so get my tricep. All right, so right here. I can do this quicker than she can do the rest of the move. So I go like this. The rest of the move is she steps on the hip, armpit, spins, throws the leg over, and you see where my hand ends up? So all I had to do was one movement. She took about 3 or 4. Even if she did it quickly and really flowed all those 4 techniques into one motion, my hand would already be here. So it's on the back of her hamstring, which is kind of fighting the pressure that she has on my head. It's also keeping my arm bent. So the harder that she hips up, the more she keeps my arm bent. And the harder that she extends her legs, the more that my hand fights her too. So it's like serving 2 purposes, and she's actually helping me defend. Now the next thing I need to do is bring my lead knee closer to her head and stack my foot behind her hips. So now she stays upside down. Now it's really hard for her to extend her body, right? And now I can safely remove my arm. If I am here and I try to yank my arm out, there's a good chance it'll get locked out, right? It'll slip out and get locked out. What I want to do is prevent her first from being able to extend her body. Now I can safely, and I still do it little by little, take my arm out. The worst thing you can do in an armbar is try to yank your arm out and your elbow gets caught right on their pelvic bone, right? So as she's hipping up and right, hip up, right there, it gets caught. And that's the worst spot for it to be because now all the leverage is right where she wanted it. Previous, she was up in my armpit, she really would have needed to hip up, right? But as I yank it out, the elbow joint is caught, now I'm in trouble, right? And so you see some of these guys like try to stand up and yank their arm out, that's gonna hurt like crazy.
You're hyperextended.
He thinks he's gonna smash their head in the mat with his arm. When the jiu-jitsu guy arches his back, he's gonna end up belly down right on that arm, and he's gonna do a lot of damage. So the correct way and best way to defend would be this one, okay? So as soon as she gets my tricep, that's my new habit, okay? Go ahead and do the arm bar. Try to hip up. So I'm fine. I'm really using no effort here, okay? My neck's a little bent just because she's putting the pressure like I want her to, and I'm not really defending. So now I want to stack, so I'm not getting the neck stretch. I start moving my knee towards her head. She already, I felt her lose a little bit of the oomph there. Step up, so now it's easier to balance, because what I don't want here is for her to spin out. Spin your hips towards the mic. Yeah, here I go, right? Because she rotated. I don't want to end up on the ground like that. I can still defend, but it's gonna be harder now. Tricep and my new habit, right? Knee to the head, step up. This keeps her from rotating. Try to rotate. Okay. So now I inch my elbow loose. What do I do from here? I can hip into her so her legs fly that way, or I can whip around to the other side. If we end up on the ground with the armbar, it's the same thing. As soon as I feel the grab of the arm, I rear naked choke, right? My hands out. I don't look for her leg. I keep it by my head because that's where the leg is going. Just like we wouldn't try to catch a punch, we're not going to try to catch the leg. We're going to keep it right by our face where we know the punch is coming or we know their leg is coming. Okay? So she's doing the knee and the armpit style. You can do leg over the body. Both of these work. I'm not trying to get up until she tries to lay back. And I rock. I use her momentum. So I wait till she really tries to armbar me, and then I go. Makes my job easier. Okay? Knee by the ear, step up, and escape my arm. That one thing you're gonna have to practice doing is once I get here, I need to get to my knees. So I raise my hip and switch. It's gonna be very difficult to go from here and then try to keep going that way as they're pushing the legs into you. It's even hard for me to sit up like this without someone pushing their legs. So I pull my legs underneath me. Now I can drive. Make sense? So let's practice that. Armbar defense, with or without the partner. You can still go through the motions. Arsenio. Larry. Is Larry Ted?
No.
Who's Larry?
Yeah, welcome, Larry.
Nope.
He has no camera. Okay. They're
Hey, Coach.
friend of a member or something. Alex.
Once you get to the stack
Yeah.
and you got your foot up, is there any? I've gotten in the habit of feeding gi so that I can grab gi here. Is that bad?
There's trade-offs, right? So if you're holding the gi, you're not pulling your arm out.
Right.
But if you're holding material like the belt, the hand's not sliding up further either, right?
Okay.
You really, it's an unneeded grip, you know? Like your bicep should be in your hand.
Right.
So you don't need the lapel. You really want your wrist caught in that bicep, tricep, elbow joint, so that way it's not getting extended.
Okay.
Someone with a strong arm bar is gonna still straighten your arm even though you have it's keeping it on that side. But once you're ready to defend, you need to let go of the grip.
Okay.
Be willing to let go.
I've been using it as a way to just make the bottom person more uncomfortable. I grab gi and then drop my elbow out as if there's a choke there. Get more uncomfortable.
The I'm trying to arm. She can't armbar me if I keep my elbow in this hip. Try to armbar me. So if this, she just said it. I need it in the middle, right? So if I'm holding the lapel, her lapel only goes so far.
Right.
And elbow's locked on the hip. Going to try to armbar me. Then it's really difficult, right?
Right.
And try. But at the same time, like you're stalling, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You can only do this for a certain amount of time. I need to start then posturing back up and working on my pass.
Yeah.
If I'm in danger, boom, I can do that. But let's say she got it there. Now what am I going to do? I can't grab the lapel anymore, right?
Right.
She's good enough that she got it. Whether she tricked me or she stripped my grip, I need to be going here now.
Right. Okay.
Looks like everyone got that.
Let me, Coach.
Hold on, we got Arsenio. Arsenio.
Coach.
Real
Yeah.
quick, are you going under the arm?
I am good.
Under the arm bar?
So
That was my question.
I shoot my bicep to that hand,
So it is under.
and then I put my hand on the opposite side facing away. And I'm
Okay.
waiting to catch
So
that.
Coach, can you do it from that angle you're in now? You were just in, looking this way, because.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So she trapped your right arm. Oh, you're grabbing your bicep and putting your hand on your ear.
right, facing away from my ear. Doesn't matter how fast she is, my hand's already there, right? Now I start driving, step up,
Okay.
come down,
Now I
elbow out.
give you the
Now I
space.
did it going around. You can also hip forward and then catch. I have some other stuff from there too, but those are the two main ways we can get to side control.
Right.
It's good on that.
Yes.
I prefer not to do the hitchhiker unless it's a last resort. Who here does not know the hitchhiker escape? Okay.
I don't know it per se.
Okay. We'll
I've
do
seen
it.
people do it.
We'll do it just so you can see. This is a last resort. This shouldn't be your go-to. So I'm already down and I'm in the armbar, right? So I go thumb up like I'm hitchhiking, right? Thumb not up like she wants it to the ceiling, thumb up towards my head. That's the way I'm gonna run my feet as well. So I'm basically running myself to north-south. I think of it, the way I was taught is Homer Simpson, the cartoon where he's running around on his shoulder. I forget what happened. He ate a bad donut. Or
The
something.
Three Stooges.
Runs this way, right? And I run until I'm here on my knees. Pop my head up under her leg, not in the guard. That's a triangle city. Under the leg, and now I run around the under the leg. And now I run around the Is that a good
Coach,
eight?
do you mind moving over to your right a little bit, because you come off the screen there?
Yep. How's that? So
A little bit more to the. I'm sorry, a little bit more towards the back door.
this way.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
So thumb up, you'll feel the relief right away. Trust me, you don't want to stay here with your thumb up. You can still get armbar. I run my feet north south till I'm all the way here. Pop my head up. Use your head. Keep it tight to the leg. Otherwise, you're going to get triangle. I run around the leg and get my side control. Got that?
And that's called hitchhiker escape.
Hitchhiker escape, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow. And you say that's not.
Use it as a last resort. That
Okay.
you've already been not able to do the rear naked choke here. You're not able to get that position with your hands. They've already knocked you flat and started extending the arm. You're about to get arm barred. You're about to tap. That's when you do it. Because there's much better escapes before that one.
Okay.
The stack, though, is your most efficient and high percentage one. My training partners, when they would go for the arm bar and I would do that, they wouldn't even try the arm bar anymore. They get my tricep, I do that, they let go. Because they already knew where it would lead. So
Now, if they let go, are you in danger?
If they let go of,
The arm bar. Like once they're stacked up like that, you're pretty much out of danger if they let go?
they're stacked. So I'm using that as a pass. So I'm not in danger of anything. Yeah. I'm in danger if I pull out the wrong arm, for example. I can give a triangle. I'm in danger if I make like bad movements, but if I just have them stacked, it's a really easy pass from there.
If they let go, or once they let go.
So like here, armbar from guard, and I stacked. So I get here, and then she lets go of the arm. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm fine. Right? There's all
Just stay right.
kinds of stuff I can do. Right? I can make her turtle. I can let her side control. I can get her back. Right? Crucifix.
Okay.
I have a lot of options there. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Yeah. There's nothing really she can do. It's a bad position for her.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. She probably should try to retain guard or turtle. Maybe look for a triangle, see if I make a mistake. And try to retain guard, see if there's a triangle there. Or if she's a top player, she could try to turtle and take me down.
Never not turtle.
Get my back, try to get around the back. But yeah, it's my turn to move, basically. You know, she's defending at that point.
Right.
You don't want to get stacked if you're the bottom person.
Nope. Right. Okay.
Triangle? This is a triangle.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay. So the triangle, what I need is basically one of the arms out. So this one's a tricky one to get specific on because there's so many ways to catch the person with their arm in or out, right? Ideally, she needs to keep both hands in, or do a 2-hand under, or both hands out. Never just one of them, right? But I have a lot of ways, like right there, she put one in before the other. That was a moment I could take advantage of. So you have to be super careful, right? Both out or both in. They mirror each other. If you never want just one. The way we teach a lot in class is just because so many new people, so we push the arm out and we throw our legs up. But I could do that. That's something she could easily fight. But something like spider guard here, that's hard to fight, right? So I'm forcing her arm out. I'm stretching her, right? So you have to be aware that that's happening to you, right? Maybe our scissor sweep variation where we push the arm out with our shin and then we trap, right? That's pretty sneaky too. There's a lot of sneaky ways to get their arm out. So we need to know what to do immediately when we find ourselves in that position that I call diamond. Some people call it triangle danger. Okay. So go to guard. So at any moment that I'm caught with my arm in and just my head and my arm in, then I'm in trouble. So what I do immediately, it's very difficult for me to posture here. I tell people to posture and they have a hard time posturing and then eventually they get triangled. I need to get my knees under her. So I scoot in close and then I look up right away. That broke the guard in itself. If I go a little slower so she's ready, knees under and I posture, right? Try to finish your triangle. And I just keep looking up, even with my eyes. Go ahead. She can't really do anything, okay? Even with my eyes, I'm looking up. Because if I look down, my neck slightly curves, and that's the start of everything. That's the start of all my vertebrae curving and my posture getting broken again. She needs my head down so she can hold on to her shin. Her shin needs to be parallel to the ground. If I'm postured up, she's not going to be able to do that, okay? So that's the first thing. So I knee close, posture up. This elbow locks on the hip. That opened her guard too, okay? I lock on the hip because she needs an angle, okay? Now, 3 stages of defense. We're gonna do all 3 today. So I need to get my hand in. That's 1, okay? If I can't get my hand in, I pull the knee and then get my hand in, okay? Both in is usually easier than getting the other one out, okay? The second stage, this is the main one that I teach. Someone talking? Okay.
What's the echo?
The main one that I teach, okay, Alex, you're not raising your hand, are you? Okay, if you have a question, just hit the raise your hand thing, wherever it is. So, knees in, posture, right? Nothing's, can't get my hand in. Usually that's the case, right? They want the triangle, they're not gonna let your other hand in. They're not gonna loosen this up, okay? So what we're gonna do, we keep the hip locked. I'm going to step up the side that I'm locking the hip. I like to put my hand down so I don't fall over. If you fall over with a triangle, it's gonna be worse, okay? Now I step up my other leg. It's like a little squat, and then I put my knee on her hip, okay? It's like the hip lock escape that I teach. So that popped her guard open, right? So now I'm still pinching the leg, but I need to get my arm out. So I could go back in, but I'm gonna use it for a pass. So I'm gonna take my arm out, watch out for omoplata. So I bring my elbow tight, and I let that arm fly. Hold the knee, switch knees, and line up for your knee on belly. You can do the stuff from last class that we did knee on belly. So I'm caught in the triangle, knees close to the butt. I'm basically sitting her on my lap, okay? I try to pull the knee and get my hand in, but it's not working. So I'm going to post, step up. I'm gonna do a pivot. So this knee's going down, the other one's stepping up. So I need my hand on the mat for that usually, okay? Now I'm gonna apply that pressure to her hip as I look up and backwards towards her feet, okay? Little pivot, there's like a knee bar here, but I'm not gonna do a knee bar, we're worried about passing. Hide my elbow, let it slip, switch knee on bellies. Okay. Any questions on that one before I do the next one? Arsenio.
I was looking for the button, but I didn't want to take too long. For the most part, they're going to let go. By the time you get that hip trapped or the leg trapped, they're going to let go of that inside arm, or you ripping that away?
No, they're continually trying to pull it across. So,
like once you stand up,
yeah,
and you have
so you have to keep that tight the whole time.
Right.
There's a point in the move where their guard popped open.
Right.
They know they're not going to get a triangle, but they're still going to try to get your hold your wrist control, the sleeve or the wrist, right? And omoplata is the most likely thing that they could get. So that's why I hide the elbow,
okay,
and slip it out. And that motion is very, so I'm here, I'm postured, right? This is tight, and this is the motion, right? So it's not gentle like I did with her. And once I get there, I know it popped open, I'm hipping and shoving those legs to the side. So it's very rare that they still have the wrist. And
that
if
they'll
they
still have
do,
it.
Yeah, because the legs hitting our arms, right? And it's kind of a violent motion. And if they are still holding on, that's something I can easily strip with my other hand too. So it shouldn't be an issue. But if they're holding it, you know you need to strip it, and then you pass to the side, right?
Right.
Knee on belly is a bonus, but you'll at least get the side control if you miss the knee on belly.
Right. Okay.
Anything else? Okay. So third stage, this is I would call last resort for the triangle. So let's go a little further. The reason I say this is last resort, because it's going to get tighter before it gets looser. The stage of this triangle, when you want to do this, arms out. She's already pulled the arm across. There's no chance of me locking out the hip, right? There's no way I'm going to get my hand on the other side that would make it looser. What I'm doing, I'm posting my hands on the mat I'm gonna throw my leg to where my foot is. And I roll to the other side. Assuming she got short legs, so it popped open. Assume it's still locked. I cross my feet, and then I extend my back. Okay? Pretty weird position. You're gonna have different things that happen here, but know that she wants to face you or she wants to get guard. I want to be on top. So I like to swing this leg up and off, and I sit up, like almost like a crucifix position, right? This is what I'm hoping to get. I'm hoping to get here. If I can catch this, even better. Okay. This gets tighter before it gets looser because your arm's already pulled across, right? From here, you can go this way too, but it still gets tighter before it gets looser. Okay, I'm gonna post here, step over. She's still got it, right? Pretend she still got it. Cross my feet, arch. Now I start coming up, sitting up on top. I come here. I'm trying to hook this arm if I get the chance with this bottom foot as I come up. But it's not always there, but I try for it. So that'd be the last resort. That one, you do because you're choking, you're going out. You can't get your arm back. Otherwise, it's better to try to fight your arm back to the other side. If you already feel like it's halfway there and you're about to go, just go for this. Arch your back, that's your last. Oh, I hope this works, right?
It does work.
It's your last resort. We had one, right?
Yeah, you can.
I was doing a one-on-one with Rita, and she was practicing her triangle defenses, and she could do any of them. It was like down to the specific training of it. And she was tapping, but I thought she wasn't tapping. I thought she was trying to get grips to open my knees. And she did the last resort and got out. And then she was mad at me because she thought I did it on purpose. But no, I thought she was not tapping. I thought she was trying to get grips and stuff. So this works. She was ready to pass out, and she used the last resort and got away out of my triangle. So my triangles are tight.
That's why I hate triangles.
So this one works, but use it as a last resort. Yeah.
PTSD with triangles.
PTSD with it. So that's the triangle. Any questions on that last one? Yeah.
Again, as always, when do you feel you stop running? Because you start running towards the head. Okay. And
yes.
Because you really can't see where you're going, obviously.
Yep. So I'm here, right? It's already shoulders pressured in my neck. I can't get it loose. I post. What I'm doing is I'm actually going to step on my hand. Once I step on my hand, it got over their head, right?
Okay.
I sit under them and roll to the other side and cross my feet. Once my feet are crossed,
that's when you arch.
Now I rock and sit up. So I'm actually stepping on my hand.
That's when you know you've gone far enough.
Yeah, because I know my foot stepped on my own hand, that I'm over her head. Because my hand is right by her neck. So as I turn, her body starts pressing against my arm because it can't go any further. Step there. And then I need to sit that way, but my foot's in the way. So I sit in and rock to the side.
Rock back.
Throw my leg over. So now their arms might be in, they might be out. There's all different things that happen there. It doesn't matter. I just arch my back like I'm doing an armbar. And then I rock up and catch their back usually.
By the time you lay back, you should be out of danger. Correct?
Yeah, the back extension is what breaks everything.
But I mean, even before that, by the time you lay back, you should be out of danger.
You're still in danger once you lay. You're not going to lay back, you lay to your side. Because if you lay back, your leg's going to get stuck under them, and you won't be able to throw it over them. So you lay to your side, the side that you stepped over with, and then you can cross your feet. It's like taking someone's back. You can't get their back until you roll to the other side so you can get your leg over. Right. In this case, we cross our feet. We're in like this weird north-south type position, you're stuck in a triangle and you have your legs crossed over them in any configuration. You're still slightly in danger, but with your legs crossed like that, it's less. You'll feel some relief.
Right.
But don't wait there.
No. And that's when you
extend your back and break out.
Right.
There's no benefit to waiting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And chances are you're going to recover in a better position than they will. Worst case scenario you would probably end up in is like you got up and they were still on their hands and knees as they got up, and you know you'll probably have them in like turtle front headlock type position. That's probably the most neutral that you'll end up. Yeah. But otherwise you'll end up with a better, if you plan ahead and you drill it, you'll usually end up in the better position, because most people don't drill getting their triangle escaped from, you know?
Right.
So they don't know usually the transitions that are going to happen after that. So you want to limit, the idea is to limit scrambles to more informed scrambles, where it's for most people it'd be considered a scramble, but you've worked it, you know? And so you let people out of your submissions and see where you end up, you know? Let them defend and see where you end up, and then see what you can transition to, and do that with multiple people so you can learn where it usually ends up and where some of the time it ends up, you know?
Right.
If you only practice winning and then you go against a guy that can get out of your moves, now you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to be in all these different positions you're not used to. You know?
Right.
So it's good to not always tap somebody and just to see where the roll goes, you know? Of course, you go for the submission because that's the goal, but then let them work the defense so you can see what awkward, like getting stacked and stuff like that. See where you end up. You know, that way you can practice how to finish after you've gotten stacked. You know, there's ways to still get the move. Let's see. So, and then north-south. So north-south was the other one. Yeah. North-south. Depends. Different people hold north-south different ways. The way I was taught to hold north-south would be to have your knees on either side of the head, maybe to sprawl. That's okay too. My elbows are in the armpit and my hands are on the belt. Okay? If I sprawl, I'm pushing the face to one side. Okay? So it just depends how you hold this, right? A lot of people have trouble getting out of north-south, but they don't have trouble getting out of side control. So one of my suggestions usually is this. She has north-south on me, right? I pop my head out and I go to side control. So now you know how to escape from side control. Create your frames, you bump your strike, you step, shoot your knee through, and you get your guard. Right? Yeah. Just get yourself into side control instead. You're not giving up any points, right? So I need my head out. Right now she's doing the sprawl, so that makes my job easier. I'm gonna take my leg, I'm gonna swing like this. I'm gonna put my head that way. I'm gonna push her up a little and away from me without exposing my arms. And make my frame. Just frame here, frame there, and bring my knee up so she doesn't mount right away. Right? So now I got side control. I'm still not out, but we know escapes from here. Okay? My second way is this. So this is good. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
It's muffled, but yeah.
My second way, this is good. She's pinching my head. So I have the belt. If there's no gi, I hold the hips. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rock my feet in this motion as I push the hips away from me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and she can't hold me. I've inch by inch gotten myself out of here, right? Now, the next step is to quickly bend my elbows to the armpits and do a push-up, okay? She might still be holding me, that's okay. I'm going to do that same swing I've been doing, but I'm gonna bring my front, the knee that's coming in first, I'm gonna bend it, and the other one goes over the head. So we end up in this replacing the guard drill position that we do when we do replacing the guard, where your shins across and your legs over the head. This is a type of guard, and we can use this for different stuff. If I grab the far arm and I hook under the leg, I can sweep it, right? Into the belly. I can do the moves from there. Move this so you can see better. I still got the belt so you can hold it. No, it's fine. Keep it on. So, hold on. Let me see the camera. This way. Okay. Go ahead. So, I'm pushing that way, and I'm swinging my legs back and forth. And I've got my arms straight out. So now she can't get north south again. Can you get back to there? Because I've locked out my arms, it's structure. So quickly I bend and push, swing my knee in. My leg's heavy, my shin's strong, my knee's strong. Any questions on that one? Okay.
Hey, this is David. Just
Huh?
tap your screen.
Hold on.
If you're flexible.
Can you hear me?
If you're just
Yes.
flexible,
Okay. When you transition,
The same start. Go ahead, hold it. Rocking, rocking. Okay. Now I curl like a back roll, and what I'm looking for is back hooks, which I have a hard time getting. That's essentially the motion, right? So I lock them out. I don't have to go to armpits on this one. You can grab like a seatbelt if you want. But what I'm doing is I'm backward rolling on top of it. I'm getting the hooks as I do. Since I have trouble with that one, here's what I do instead. Elbows. So I rock. Okay. Once I get to here, I look for the pant leg. And I'm going to do one last swing like this, looking for the half hook. Once I catch this, I have a couple things I can do here, but usually I'm able to swing right to my knees. So in wrestling, there's a position in wrestling that once I've stepped over the leg, I have control. I've gotten behind her. So I'm looking for this position first because I know once I get here that I have control. I can go where I want from here. So it's like getting a half guard, but I don't stop there. I keep going to my knees. So I rock, rock, rock. I reach. Once I got something, I know where to shoot my feet. Right to here. And I come up and out and start getting the back.
in the previous move you did where you ended up kind of in a guard position on the side, don't you have a submission there at that point? An arm bar or something?
Yeah, so that is a type of guard. We have armbar there. We have reverse triangle there. We have sweeps there, which go right into other submissions. So yes, but that's another transition after that. We're just trying to get out to a position where we can work from. And that would be the beginning of it, right? Without going into 20 more techniques. So you want to be able to get there first and then move on from there. Yeah. So I try not to show too much at once. I see people show techniques sometimes and it's like, you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. I've been watching some stuff from catch wrestling and they have this one drill that's like 9 positions, and from each position there's like 3 or 4 submissions. So what's that? That's like over 35, 36, techniques, not counting the movement to the new position, and that becomes overwhelming for people. you know.
Yeah, you can't remember.
It's a
all
good
that.
drill once you know all of it, but I wouldn't want to introduce it that way.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's an armbar. If we're here, if I shot my knee through and my leg's over, there's no armbar here unless I go reverse armbar, right?
Right.
If she's passing my guard, there's times that this arm is in here when I throw it over, right? But with the timing, they usually will pull this out, so I won't have that, right? I can also transition, boom, over to some belly down stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things I can do. Reverse triangle is going to be your easiest submission from there, just because her arm's already out, her head's under your leg. It's easy to pull that in. So from this angle, my shin's across the belt and the leg is over the head. I reach back and pull this, and I let the shin that's under her belt shoot through, and I locked it up right here. I can get a reverse triangle. So there's a lot of attacks there. The next one, well, you have side control, replacing the guard. Then you have the back take, more for the flexible guys. And then I started doing, I really liked the back take one, but wasn't always the best at performing it. So I started learning that I could get that half guard and come up on the ankle. So I like to use that a lot. Less movement. I like moves where I don't have to move a lot. Any more questions? We're looking at 6:30. I know Rita's got to go.
Bye, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow again, same time.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Now, hey, Bryant, as far as the swinging the legs back
Yeah.
and forth,
That's
That
one
seems
that
like
you
it's-
want to get used to. That's a good
I was
drill.
going to say, it seems like it's really time consuming and stuff, but I mean, is that,
It's so that movement, think about it. They are locked down on you. Their knees are in
Right.
your shoulders, elbows in your armpits. They're holding your belt or pants. And they're this strong for them, right? They're locked in a
Right.
good, strong position. How are you going to get out, right?
Right.
So what you can do is like inch your way out using angles. By swinging out, back and forth. By doing this, my hips move and I inch my way out. Little by little, I'm getting more and more of a jack
distance?
on their hips, keeping their hips away. Now they can't come back into that strong position, right?
Right.
I got them locked out. Now I can work. Now I have my head's free to swing out to side control, to bring my knee in between them, whatever I need to do, whatever escape that I like. But I need that space, and that's the start, right? And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, that's kind of a funny movement. Like, that's kind of weird. But I would do it, right? I would try it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It works, you know?
Right.
It doesn't seem like it would work. Like, how does me swinging my legs back and forth gonna help me get out like that, right? But remember, we're not trying to shoulder press them away. That would take a lot of effort, and we probably wouldn't be able to do it because they got that lockdown on us. But
Right.
by using those angles, little by little, they lose the position and they start to get extended, and you're keeping that distance that you gained, right?
Right.
The tricky part, for me anyway, I feel a moment of I'm uncertain is if I'm going to be able to go from the hips to their armpits quick enough, right? Because now I'm letting go of them and I'm going to somewhere else. But
Right.
I've never really seemed to mess that part up, but I always feel uncertain when I get to that point. I'm like, oh, is it going to work?
Yeah.
And then I get it, you know? Yeah. It's one of those things where you're trying to get a grip. You don't always know that you're going to get it. But, you know, the more
Right.
you do it, the better you get at it. Anyone else?
Has anybody like abandoned that north-south once they feel you swinging like that to go to
They might
something
try
else?
to go side control
Side control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they might try to armbar you because your arms are straight, but it's not in such a good position for them to armbar you. Plus your
Right.
hands are on their hips. So they need your arm way up here by their chest. So by the time they get those grips, you're aware and you can pull your elbow to the mat.
Right.
If your elbow's on the mat, people can't armbar you. So anytime you don't know what to do, try to elbow the mat and they're not going to be able to armbar you. Right? If that makes sense. You know, if you're on top, of course, you're not going to elbow the mat. You're going to stack them, right? But if you're already down on the bottom and you have the ability to elbow the mat because they're not locked into a full armbar yet, that'll get you out of there right away. Like when Rita did the armbar and she was trying to adjust herself and she let go of my tricep, you know, maybe, I don't know what she's going to use her hands for something. She didn't have my tricep and I just elbowed out, right? Because now that's what holding the tricep does. Stops them from elbowing their way out, right? So that's what you're looking for. If they're still pulling your wrist and haven't got to the elbow, just yank it out. You know, you're safe.
Can't hear it. That's
Larry? Ted renamed himself to Larry, and I forgot it was Ted for a second.
All right, I've actually got to go. I got to go hunt for food.
Okay. Yeah.
Grocery shopping time. All right, gentlemen.
Guys, think of what
Have a good night.
what you want to see next time. So
Yes.
like I got plenty of material, but like I said, I want it to be relevant to what you guys are trying to learn. You know.
Yeah, no, I actually have a request again,
Okay.
and I apologize.
Alex is still on.
No, I'm sorry if I'm the one hogging all the request time here, but one of the things that I'd like to see is, and I forgot the name of it, but when somebody stands up out of your guard and you catch their legs and to seat them into your basically seated guard, and then you can catch them in a seatbelt position. I'm trying to remember what that's called.
Okay. Say it again. Describe it.
You're
again.
on your back. You're on your back. They stood up out of the guard.
Okay.
You grab their legs and transition them to sit them down into, to grab their belt and sit them into your, so you
Okay.
could catch the seatbelt.
Yeah.
The roller coaster.
Yeah, we call it like roller coaster.
Yes.
There's different ways to get into it.
That back.
A lot of different guards, and that's one of the things I thought of when I wanted to describe different concepts to you guys and principles. Like it's a movement that works in almost every guard, and it's a way. I'll show it next time. It's a way to transition to the back. I'll show a couple different examples and how to get to the back, right? Where you got the seatbelt and then you throw your hooks in. We can do that with De La Hiva. We can do it with X guard. We can do it with essentially butterfly guard. A bunch of different guards.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking of is the person stands up and you bring your legs in between their legs and sweep them and sit them back down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same one with different guards. I'll show it. And I'm sure one of those guards will be the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
That's a good one because I was actually thinking of showing that.
And then the other one that we've been doing a lot of chokes. We did the Darth choke yesterday. One of the ones that I have tried to, but haven't been successful is the anaconda choke.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't gone over that, have we?
No.
See the thumb. Yeah, we haven't gone over that. There's the thumb. Larry did it too. So we got the Darce, anaconda, and then some back takes. So there's roller coaster type or kiss of the dragon type back takes. That'll be good. That's where the barambolo comes in a little bit too sometimes. Yep. So there's different ways to transition back there. You can go through the leg, around the leg, you can go inverted. Some cool defenses too.
I remember it being called something different. I can't remember what it is now.
Taking the back usually is just what they call it. Call it roller coaster because I used to do it all the time. And then the black belt I worked with, he's like, "Oh, Brian, put you in the roller coaster." So we started calling it roller coaster.
All right, gentlemen, I've got to go hunt food. See you
All right.
tomorrow.
All right, Alex.